Hey, welcome back to Motor Psychology. My name's Jonathan. If you're new here, welcome. If you're a returning viewer, welcome back. And thanks for your continual support. So I'm out here on a great fall day, I guess, and in mid-November. And this is probably going to be one of the last trips out with this blue Corvette. And in this video, however, I'm going to say it's part 2 to the installation of the radiator on the red C3 Corvette. So finally getting around to putting that radiator in. So I've done a little bit of research, a little bit of modifications, and we'll see how it goes. But ultimately, I want to get that radiator in so I can start putting all the other parts together in the engine bay, like all the fan belts and steering pump, fill it with fluid, start it up and get it going, and hopefully have it on the road in the spring. So let's dive into it and see how it goes. I'm out here with my blue Corvette, and the main reason I'm out here is I'm going to pop the hood and see how they have the foam around the radiator core. So for me, for this entire project, that's been the most nebulous, or I wouldn't say confusing, but unknown area. So you've got all these foam inserts, and it's very difficult to find any resources online that tell you exactly where those foam pieces go on your radiator core. So I'm going to check out this car, which has the same engine setup as the red one, and see if it has the foam on it. If it does, I'm going to see how it's laid out so that when I can go home on the red one, which I'm working on, I can get the foam in the right location. So let's check out this this engine. All right, let's pop the hood. So the hood is popped. Let's open it up and see how they've got that organized in here. Ooh, it looks pretty good. I can see that the foam is in there. Let's have a close-up of it because that's what I want to replicate on the other car. So I've got this brand new radiator in there, and here's the core support, or the top of the core support here. There's a big block of foam, which is probably about maybe 8 inches by about maybe 2 inches. So that fits in between this radiator clamp here and kind of where the air scoop goes. So let's say to the second hole here. And then you've got the typical foam to hood connection, which I totally get. So let's head over to the other side and see what's on there. All right, we're over on the left side. Same thing. It seems a little bit shorter, but nevertheless it goes to this second dot here. And once again, you've got the same radiator core to hood piece of foam there, and that just prevents air coming over in there. No foam underneath the air scoop, which is good. Coming down the side here, which I think is going to be important for me, is this fitment here. So I'm going to crawl underneath here and see if I can find out where there's some more foam down there. There's supposed to be a strip of foam along the bottom, but I'm just going to go down and check it out. No foam that I can see, but I'm going to have a look at it from underneath. Yeah, I'm not seeing anything as far as foam underneath that core support, so that's pretty good. That should be good to go. Yeah, all overall, that was pretty useful to come down here and check it out. This is nicely done on the top. And I've got to go back and try and find all these parts that I took off. I have no idea where they are. Probably put them in the bag. And I think I still need to get an upper radiator hose. And then for some reason, my lower radiator hose that I bought doesn't have a spring in it. So I do have an old spring that I'm going to put in there. And that just prevents your radiator hose from collapsing. All right, I've since ordered that top hose, so let's see how this goes. Another Rock Auto product. Don't really need this stuff when you think about it. Crap. Alright, get rid of this box here. What sticker did I get here? Collector Series Lincoln. That looks pretty cool. Lincoln Continental or something like that. And I'll put this one here. I've got a whole bunch on another fridge, which I'll bring down here. So here's the upper hose. It's a couple feet long. This is a AC Delco hose, and here's the part number right there if you're interested. That's what it looks like. Lengthwise, yeah, 24 inches, so that's pretty good. This is the bottom hose, and I don't know if you can see it in there, but I've put the spring inside there. There's the spring. So this is all filled with a spring, which keeps it from compressing. Anyway, there we go. Finally got the top and bottom hose. So that's good. Good to go. So I'm getting ready to put the radiator in. I'm going to put the lower rad hose on here with the clamp, but not clamp it tight. It's just going to be a lot easier to fit this on prior to putting the radiator in. It can be a tight fit. Putting this in once you have the fan shroud and the radiator in place. This is a tight fit. So I'm going to put this on first, and hopefully that'll work out. Since this is rubber and things like that, I want to just lube it up a little bit so it'll slide on there better. So I'm just using a little bit of dish soap here. I'm going to wipe some around here and inside here. There. That's just kind of lubing it up a little bit. And then I should be able to get it on here. And I'm going to put it on the same angle as the old radiator down there. So I'll stick it on first, and then I'll rotate it in the right position. So before doing that, I'm going to stick a clamp on there. Not my favorite clamp, but that was the best type that was available. All right. This should fit on pretty well. There. And with the liquid soap, it'll be easy to turn to get it into the final spot. So I'm just going to check my other radiator and then rotate this to the right spot. This can go down here lightly. All right, this is basically the starting angle for that. So if you're doing one yourself, just set it up like that first. And I'm just going to tighten the clamp slightly. Just so that it's snug. Perfect. Still rotate it around, that's great. So before I put this in, I wanted to make sure that this is facing down and this is tight. So I can do a slight adjustment here. Oops. There. Tighten that up. that's tightened up and in the right direction. This is tightened up. This is on here but loose. I'm going to keep the cardboard on until I have this thing safely in the Corvette. Then I'm going to slide the cardboard out. So now it's time to move this thing upstairs again and into the garage and finally get it on and into the Corvette. So we're looking inside the engine bay here at the core support, and there's the place where the radiator is going to go. I'm also going to show you the area where you need to stick the foam pads as well on the side before you put your radiator in. And before doing that, we've also got to get the shroud in as well. So there's the part on the sides where you should stick the foam before you put your radiator in. All right, there's the space. You can see the core support area there, and that's where I'll be putting the radiator in. I'll probably work from the right hand side of the Corvette and then put the radiator down in that spot. All right, let's get this fan shroud in. That's ready to go. Hopefully I can squeeze this thing in. That wasn't very difficult. Core support, fan shroud, and the clip. So we're looking under the Corvette. There's the core support. Here's the shroud that I put in, and there's these clips that go on here and that holds the shroud in place. So I'll show you how those work. So that's what the clip looks like, and the shroud goes on the inside of the core support. So in order for it to work, you stick this one over, and it's got a little hole here and it'll clip in place there. All right, there. So that clips in place and the shroud will sit in there. So we'll go over to the left side and do the same there. So core support, shroud here, and the area where the clip goes right there. So stick the clip on. If you do happen to put them on backwards, you can get them off again. They're a little bit tricky to get off, but they're way easier to put on. So anyway, that clip is in place now. It's not going anywhere. And then the fan shroud is going to come in and sit in that clip. So I'm going to put that in place here. So another shot here, there's the shroud clip where that's going to go in, and the other one there. So I'm going to go to the top and then push them down, so you should be able to see those snap in. There we go. So there it is, shroud clip. The shroud is on the inside of the core support, and that's nicely put in place there. And the other clip is over here somewhere. There we go. So core support, stabilizer bar, rad shroud. All right, let's get this thing in. All right, up comes the radiator. It's a big job for one person, or it's not a big job, but it's a little bit awkward. So this is going to slide in between the shroud and all this other stuff. I think you have to be flexible sometimes. So the best advanced planning of putting this lower radiator hose on very lightly did not work out. So the space based on where my air conditioner compressor is, it's a little bit too tight for this. So I'm going to take this hose off and I'm going to attempt to put this radiator in, and then hopefully be able to fish that hose down and attach it to the bottom of the radiator. Let's try drop it in without the hose in there now. Might work. All right. There we go. There we go. Okay, so right now we've got the radiator in. The fan shroud is more or less in. It just has to be clamped at the top here. And we'll do the same to the other side. I decided to take the hose off. It was much easier to slide this in without the hose. Now the challenge is I've got to get underneath the car and stick the hose in that way. So let's get around to doing that. So yeah, not disappointed. This is pretty good. Here's the lower rad hose spot. The rad hose goes in here and over the frame and then into the water pump. So I'm going to try and fish that in and then get that set up. Now it's going to be line this up, get it in. So there we are right now, getting this hose through and finally on here, and it runs up and over the crossover kind of next to the upper control arm securing bracket. Yeah, so here's the bottom of the radiator. The lower hose is going to go on here, and then it kind of goes up over the crossover, front crossover, but beside the control arm mounting bracket, I guess, and into the water pump. So there it is. It's on. This thing can go on and be tightened when it needs to be. You can see how it goes up and over like that. It's pretty cool. So here's the top of the lower rad hose, and this part here is going to go into the water pump. So you can see how it comes up and then over the cross member, kind of right under the right hand upper control arm. And to get this thing into the water pump, I'm going to put some sort of lube around the top so that it's a little bit slipperier, and then push it in, and then also get a clamp on it. So that's my next step here. Just going to put a bit of lubrication on here, make it slippery, and I also need to get a clamp. Stick that clamp on for now. This is going to have to go all the way down here. I just need to pull this thing back as far as I can. There we go. So close. So down here is the hose, and it runs along there. I don't know if you can see it that way. And then it goes kind of along here. There's the front control arm, there's the bracket that holds it on, and here's this guy here. So that has a spring in it to keep it from collapsing. And now I can lightly tighten these things up, I think, and then that's a good start. So way down there, the clamp is on. And just going to move down below for the other clamp. All right, just going to tighten this one up. Put these in places that are easy to get to in the future. And I'll tighten this up a bit more later on, but so far, everything's looking good. That one's done. Once again, should be able to see where it goes. And over the frame. Crossover. Alright, getting closer to getting this in place. I'm going to take off the cardboard, at least from the inside part right now. Hopefully this will come out okay. Alright. So I'm getting ready to put the radiator support brackets on the top, and that'll keep the radiator in place. So this bracket here has a couple holes in it that are threaded, and there's pre-drilled holes in the core support, and that's where they fit in. And they're kind of on a mini angle, kind of like that, and this comes across horizontally. So once you have the radiator in place, it's just a matter of putting this thing in place here. So there's one slightly longer bolt and the other one is shorter. So there's the shorter one. That one goes through here with a washer for here. And the longer one goes through here. It's already got a built-in washer. And they thread in to, like I said, these things are threaded here, so just a matter of lining that up. And then this part here is for the plastic shroud part to screw in there. So let's see if we can get this thing done here. Just going to put a little bit of oil on here. And hopefully, oh, before I do that, I got to take this out. There we go. Those things have been on here for quite a while. Tighten that a little bit, hold it in place. A little bit of oil in here. That's perfect. Stick the washer in. Gently tighten these, kind of getting them in place, but not permanently. Let's try for this side over here. It's been a while, that's for sure. Same with this side, get this one in. And we'll put the other one in down here. So we're working on getting these brackets in here. I'm going to put the foam inserts down the side as well while it's still a bit loose. So we're coming in here looking at the new radiator, and down the side here is where you can put the foam. So right down this area here. There we go. You can see down there. That's where the foam needs to go. There'll be other foam bits that go along the top here at a later time. Alright, we've got some foam down the sides now, which is good. This stuff I'll put on afterwards. This part is going to go up here at some point, and the other side up there. So this one here is going to go along here. Like that. And this small one goes in here, like so. And then the scoop goes over here, so that's not a big deal. These little guys here go in that way. This one's going to go up here. Just hand tightening all this stuff for now. All right. So the progress so far is we're getting the foam down here. I'll do the final fitment of that once this is tightened up. We've got this pretty much in place. The fan shroud is in place. Everything's looking pretty good here. Somewhere in there we've got the new radiator. You can probably see down there, maybe. There we go. And everything else on there. So we're getting there. Looks like everything is in place here. I'm going to start tightening up the nuts here and get this thing snugged in a little bit better. And then I'm going to place the upper rad hose in place to where it's going to go. I'm not actually putting it on right now, but I'll show you how it looks with that. So I'm just going to go around to the key areas here, which are here, here. I think this one is pretty much good to go, but I'll double check that. So these two bolts here on this side and the same on the other side, and then this will be in here nicely. I'm not going to tighten it up too tight. Same on this side here, just tighten it up. Well, this has a little bit of a ways to go here. There we go. And same with this side. This will also pinch in the little foam inserts that I have down here. There. Nice and solid here. All right, I'm going to show you this and where that fits in. Once again, not too sure if I'm going to put this on now or at a later time. So in this package, you get the part that fits around the hood, and you also get one of these. There is the original one, and here is the replacement one. So I need to figure out where this one goes. When I do find out where it goes, I'll install that. These ones here are pretty simple. So with these guys here, they go in a certain way, and I'll show you. Hopefully you can see down here. So they follow, this part here follows the contour of the core support, and it's literally, you put it up somewhere around here. You need a little attachment here that you can put through, and it's going to stick in there. So I still need to get that, and you can get that at a local hardware store where you can get lots of different plastic push-ins that will keep that in place. The rest of it just follows the shape of the core support. So here we are at the front looking towards the back, and I just want to show you where these guys go. So to help it stick, you could use some double-sided tape and put it on this side, which goes down, and I'll show you the general fitment of this thing. So we're looking at this side here first. So normally it would come up here, so this is kind of like core support shape here. So it kind of goes up like this, and like that. So it kind of rides up and goes into place. This is where the hinge will go for the hood. So you want to have this thing here and then come down here so that it provides some sort of wind block there. On the other side, same thing. So the part that is really smooth is the part that would go on your core support, and then you just have to be careful to get it away from the hinge. So something like that is where you want to have your final ones here, and I'll just show you in a sec. I'm going to say this is not a permanent solution here. I'm just going to tack it on with these things here just to keep it in place. So let's see if I can actually get this thing off here. There we go. So like I said, the curved side goes down, so I'm just going to put one here for now. And then I'm going to put one on the other side here. All right, let's peel this one off here. And I'm just going to stick it right around here for now. So let's see if this is enough just to help it grab onto that core support. And we'll do the same for that side. And we'll stick this one somewhere around here. So, stick that in place. there. So once I get this permanently in place, you can kind of see how it's going to go, right? So let me just do a close-up here. So if you can imagine that that is all the way down, that's your final product. That's how those are set up on that side. So let's hook up that upper radiator hose and see if that fits. All right, I think we're in a good position here. I'll just show you where this hose goes. So this is the hose that I needed to get, and it's formed so that it actually has to go over the alternator. So this part here goes in down here. That's a great fit. And the other part, and you can trim it a little bit if you need to, but the other part would fit in here like so. It's a pretty decent fit. And of course you'd need to clamp it. So I'll probably have to trim that a little bit. Just to get this a little bit of room there, but not too much. So we're looking down here. There's the upper hose, comes down up here and way up and over, and then down into the thermostat. So I'm going to trim this a little bit at this side so that this gives a little bit of slack, particularly to get rid of this kink here, or potential kink in there. So that is basically how that is set up to go. So here we are, just a couple final pieces in here. This piece of foam here is going to fit in here once I close everything up properly, and the larger piece of foam is over on this side. I do have another piece that may fit in there. I'm not certain. The air scoop thing goes above this. If you folks out there do know, let me know in the comments, and then I can put some foam in there. It almost seems to make sense that foam goes in there, but I'm not too sure. So other than that, everything is all set up. That pretty much ends the installation of this radiator, minus filling it and testing it. But I've got to add a whole bunch of fluids to this engine and put the belts on, the fan on, and all the oil, prime the oil pump, and just make sure things are ready to go before I start it. But this is a step in the right direction. I also will put on the air scoop thing as well when I'm done. So we're making progress. Hey everyone, that concludes the video on the radiator installation. It's not perfect. Like if you go back to the previous video where I was making those special inserts for the radiator, at the end of the day I found out that those weren't needed. This thing fit fine, so it wasn't a real big deal. So if you watch both of them in succession, you'll know that you don't need to make those inserts if you were interested in that. Anyway, that's one more thing done. Long time coming. I had the radiator and core support a long time ago, but I had to get around to a whole bunch of other things on this Corvette before getting that done. So we're making progress, and I just wanted to thank you all for sticking around, supporting these videos. Please feel welcome to share them with your friends or other people that are in the C3 community. It's greatly appreciated. So moving on to the next video, which is going to be more in this engine bay, getting the fan on and all the associated belts and whatever else I need to get done. So that one is coming up very, very soon. So we'll see you all back here at Motorpsychology next time.